Hello and welcome back. I'm Gary Ray Smith, the Knitting Man, and this whole episode is going to be about my bluebird blanket. Right way up. Hello and welcome back. I'm Gary Ray Smith, the Knitting Man, and this episode is all about my bluebird baby blanket. And first things first, all of my links you'll find below in my link tree. So you'll find down there my link to Patreon, my link to Instagram, Facebook, and what have I missed out, Joe? Anything? Etsy, yeah, so you'll be able to buy my charts from Etsy if you want to. That's all down below in my link tree. So what happened was when we started our YouTube channel, and it's nearly 6 months since we started the channel, and when we started the channel, I did say I took everyone through the knitting of my history, the history of my knitting, and I did say that I would go through each of my more recent projects individually, and we never got round to it and we never did it. So this is the first one really. So we're actually going to talk in detail about my bluebird baby blanket, where the ideas came from, what material I used, what reference material I used, and also I'm going to take you through the process of making it. So should you want to make it, you will be able to follow the process, and with the help of some of my other videos that we've already made, so I'll refer to those, with the help of those videos you will be able to make it for yourself. I started knitting baby blankets for my grandchildren about 7 years ago. Arthur's 7, and at this time last year Doris is 1, and the bluebird baby blanket I made for Doris. So at this point last year I hadn't put out any patterns and we hadn't started YouTube. And then what I've always done, so with my previous grandchildren, although I haven't finished them all, is I wanted to make something that was a labour of love. I wanted to make something complex that they could keep, like an heirloom blanket, and that was the original idea that I started with Arthur's blanket 7 years ago. And when it came to Doris's blanket, I asked Doris's mum Pansy what she would like on the blanket, and she said, could you do a version of your swallows jumper as a baby blanket? So at this point I will just show you a clip that we did earlier where I talk about the pattern for my swallows jumper, because I actually have been working on that pattern. So here's a little clip that Joe made from then.
What is it you're doing?
What am I doing? Mm-hmm. I'm working on the pattern, because people have been asking me for, well, ever since I knitted it really, for the pattern for my bluebird, do we call it bluebird? Swallows jumper, I think we called it. I've gone back to, I'm colouring in. I've gone back to the original. I've redrawn it as well though. It's different. It's not going to be exactly the same. But I am it's very similar. A lot of people wouldn't notice any differences. I've taken some flowers out. I've created a bit more space within the design, and I've also designed this piece here, which wasn't there before, which is for the back. So the idea is that the front and the back will be the same. But I've taken the measurements and I've taken the pattern from the original that I've knitted. When I knitted it, it was during lockdown, and so I've knitted it. Really, it's a man's XL size. So this whole drawing here is an XL man's size. So what I will be doing is calculating the smaller sizes on this. So it will eventually be available as a chart that you can buy, a printed chart that you can buy. But I'm thinking initially I might, because I can do it quite quickly, is just make it available as a PDF. It won't be a written pattern, it will just be a chart. So you'll have to work out how many stitches you want to pick up around the neck, etc., or how you want to finish the neck.
So it will be available on Etsy.
Yes, it will be available on Etsy as a printed chart. It might not have a pattern with it at that point, Joe. It might be that it's just a printed chart and you'll have to work out how many stitches to pick up. So initially a PDF download for our Patreons, then after that it will become a printed poster chart that you'll be able to buy from Etsy, and eventually, but it's a long way away, it will become a Ravelry PDF download with sizings, with all of your pattern. But that will be a long way off because I've got loads of other little irons in the fire. Lots of other things to do beforehand.
But also you said about using a vest pattern and putting in your other designs.
Yes, and I'm actually, the vest that I'm working on that, which this is oversized, which is, it's useful for me in terms of sizing, because I know that, I've got an XL here, but I'm working on the large, and the large that I'm working on is my off-piste vest. So my off-piste vest, although I've not done a lot of work on it recently, I'm actually working on the large sizing for that. So this is my XL size, then I'm working on the large sizing, and eventually I'll work on medium and small, and I'll have 4 sizes that are all the same pattern in effect.
I know you can drop in other patterns, like people like the one you called Charlie Brown.
Yeah, although I think Charlie Brown, again Charlie Brown, I might do that because Pansy's working on that. I might just put a really simple version of the chart on our Patreon, so our Patreons have got that as well. Yeah, eventually lots of like death's head moths or hair or whatever will all be available on that.
On a vest pattern.
On a vest pattern, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. So this is the vest that I knitted during lockdown, and that subsequently became, I think I called it Swallow's Vest when I was knitting it, and I was knitting it on Instagram, so people on Instagram were following me knit that. And so after that, I redrew it for the blanket, for the baby blanket, and this is how the baby blanket ended up. So it was never, you're rolling. So it was never our intention of selling the pattern. I was making these blankets out of love, really, for my grandchildren. And so it was never our intention, but people asked and asked, and in the end we gave in. And I think it was sort of October, I think, of 21 when I issued my first pattern, and we issued the the chart for the Bluebird pattern on Etsy, and we did 50 signed copies, and subsequently we've done an unsigned run, so it's still available on Etsy as a chart. And the reason that I chose to do a chart was because it's quite complicated, and I would rather work from a physical chart so that I can sort of cross it out as I go along. I don't like working from an online PDF, although I know some people do. So we issued that, and then I don't think it was until Christmas, I think, of 21 that we put it out on Ravelry. So if you wanted to buy the chart's on Etsy, and the printed chart and the PDF download is available on Ravelry. So originally, I'm taking you back to the beginning, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the design process now. Well, during lockdown, the thing that I was really influenced by, first of all, was the vintage, because as some of you might know, I'm an avid vintage tin collector, and I had some Bluebird toffee tins. The Bluebird and the blossom on that tin made an influence on me, and so when I was looking for inspiration for this jumper, I went and looked at some of those. So I'm now going to put up on screen a couple of tins of vintage Bluebird coffee tin design, toffee, so that you can see. Sorry, Joe?
Toffee.
Did I say coffee? I meant toffee. Lucky she's here, innit, people? So she's thumbsing up. You can't see it because I don't think she got her thumb in the right place. So I'm just going to show you a couple of photos of my initial inspiration, some Bluebird toffee tins. So, so I was Googling those, and also the other influence was, and this became more of an influence, was Walter Crane, and I'm going to put up and you'll see the similarities now, because I really leaned heavily on this design by Walter Crane, and it's called Almond Blossom. Now, Walter Crane was an illustrator, and if I've got any pictures of his illustrations, I'll put those in here, and I'll also put in maybe a picture of Walter Crane, because he's got a nice tash. Yeah, he's an arts and craft illustrator, so he's around the turn of the between the 19th and 20th century, and he was a friend of William Morris. Yes, and I mean, all of his illustrations, all of his designs are great, and so that's my tip for today, if you want to have a look at somebody who's a great designer and illustrator. And also the other thing that I would say as well, that Walter Crane does use like flags as well, which is something I'm always interested in. So in terms of my design process, I can't take you back and show you, because we've sold quite a lot of the original drawings, but I can't take you back and show you the process that I go through. But generally what I'm trying to do, and you'll notice the difference, you know, if you look at the, say, the water crane, which was, you know, a big influence on this design. I'm trying to simplify things. You know, there's a lot of detail in those water crane things, but you know, in order to make a design for a jumper, you really have to reduce the detail right down. And you'll be able to, if you want to go back and look at my other videos, there's videos where you can see me designing something, trying to work out a design, which I like to film those, because I don't think you get that with many designers. I think with that design process, you know, you don't see it. I think you can go back and you can look at, certainly you can look at my design process for Joe's shawl, for Mrs. Smith's shawl, and also for my hair pattern, although some of the work for the hair pattern had been done previously. But really what I do is generally I start with a drawing and then I simplify that drawing and maybe add detail back in, then simplify it again and add detail back in, and keep going till I get to something that I'm happy with. The work that I'm doing at the moment on the Bluebird V-neck tank top, you'll notice if you compare it to the Bluebird drawing, it's got less in it. I've taken more out. I've honed it down. I'm honing it down all the time. So they are different. They're similar, but they're different. So the first half of this video was filmed last week, and this is me filming the end of the video this week. I don't know if anybody stopped or paused the video over those two drawings there, because if you go back and you pause the video there, you'll be able to see how very different they are. And I think you can see here the difference between, say, this bird and this bird. So, you know, they are very different. The flower's different, everything's different. Now, before I go on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through. So this comes with your chart when you buy your chart. There's a crib sheet and instructions. Before I go through how to knit the Bluebird blanket, I just want to show you some of the projects the people have made, the projects that people have made with this pattern. Now, not everyone's made a blanket and not everybody's knitted it, and you will see that there is in fact mosaic crochet in there as well. So here are a few with the names, so you can go and look at their stuff. They're mostly on Instagram. I think one or two might be on Ravelry, but here is my hall of fame of people that have knitted from this chart. So that was the people that have, if I've missed anybody out, by the way, and I might well have, because, you know, I'm all over the place when it comes to, please let me know, and I'll try to add it into a future video. the other person who's nearly finished my Bluebird blanket design is my mum. People that are on our Patreon will have seen my mum and dad, but for people that aren't on Patreon, here's a little clip that I filmed earlier with my mum and dad, and my mum showing you where she is at the moment with her Bluebird blanket. Mum, that's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love those colours. I love that sky looks like, you know, when you get those flat clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? And what's the other side? What's the other side look like? Yeah, lovely. You've actually followed the pattern, which a lot of people don't do, weirdly. But you've followed the pattern, haven't you? So you've got, you're going to cut your stick down there between the two, in the middle. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
I like it. I think it looks nice. I'm going to do a plain one like yours, though.
Are you?
2 colours. Yeah, that's taken me till now to do.
I know. Well, the thing is, Mum, the whole idea was that they would be a labour of love. You know, that they would be something really special. So, you know, they are difficult, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, I think it. You end up with something that is very special at the end.
Do you want me to
I've been taking out,
No, just record.
rolling the wool up into bundles as well, taking the colour out of one area.
Yeah, but did you think you needed to do that? Couldn't you just let it go?
No, not really. I think if I'd let it go, there might have been, I don't know.
Can I look at the back again? Because on the back, you're. Oh no, it does. So you've got it is variegated across the. I thought that you were just doing grey on the border.
Well, I'm using a separate colour for that to what I'm using on there.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
So the rib is a separate colour.
Yeah.
But it's taken from the same balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've just picked the greyer parts out for the border.
Yeah.
And you've kept all the blue parts in.
Most of the blue for that, yeah.
Yeah.
But added grey as well to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, very nice. I might put this little video of you on the latest one we're doing, because the latest one is about this blanket.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So, but a lot of people haven't seen you. Only our patrons have seen you.
Can I stop now?
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So just say hello to everyone, and then.
Hello, everyone.
Does Dad want to come in? Say hello.
I doubt it.
Oh, let's get him to come in and say hello on his anniversary, on his wedding anniversary, on his 58th wedding anniversary.
Yeah, 58.
58.
Just come say hello. Just come say hello.
Yeah.
There he is, people.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now you see where I've got a matching beard, Dad.
Yeah, you're looking more like me
Yes.
now than Gary. Than Paul.
Yeah, and Paul was saying, because we filmed earlier, a video of Paul talking about his crochet, which is going to be our next episode after this episode, which is about the Bluebird blanket.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and we said that we would that Joe said. So I'm getting confused. Joe said that we look like Grizzly Adams and Bear Grylls. Well, Bear Grylls hasn't even got a beard, but it's because he's Grizzly and Bear. Well, there you go.
Me and Bob Mortimer.
Bob Mortimer.
You get
Is
that?
it not Bob Mortimer? Who's the...
Vic Reeves.
Yeah, Vic Reeves. I get
that.
Vic Reeves all the time. People think that I'm Vic Reeves. In actual fact, we were at a concert recently, of Squeeze, the guy out of Squeeze,
The pig.
Chris Difford, and we were like just sitting in front of the stage, and he was looking at me, and he kept looking and kept looking, and I wondered, who does he think I am? And then of course everyone says they think I look like Vic Reeves, so yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it, Vic Reeves. Vic Reeves.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll switch that off for now, so we're not filming anymore. So it's quite interesting that my mum, what my mum's doing there, because it is quite different to what anybody else has done. Somebody's done something similar. I can't remember who it was, but when I come to do the cat blanket, somebody's done a big bed throw of the baby cat blanket design, made it into a big bed throw, and they've used a variegated colour. When I do that video, I'll show you that. But yeah, that's quite interesting. It's nice that my mum's knitting one of my designs. So now, before we finish, I just want to quickly take you through the steps and what videos you need to watch in order to learn the techniques that you need to make one of these for yourself. So this is a little crib sheet that comes with it. So this is the rib section here, around there, and then there's a border, which is this section here, which is a 6-stitch border. So there's 2 stitches of blue, 2 stitches of the white, and another 2 stitches of the blue. And then the pattern, you work from the chart inside that. So there's 2 stitches of blue running around the outside. So first of all, I mean, I've used 3.5mm circular needles, 80 centimeters long, and I found that was the correct. I'm going to take this down. That it was the correct sizing for a baby blanket. But if you did want to make it bigger and use thicker yarn and thicker needles, of course you can do. And I used a yarn like a 4-ply yarn, and it's like equivalent to a Jameson Spindrift. So I cast on 230 stitches, and then I knitted corrugated rib. Now, started with blue, so you start with 2 blue stitches, knit stitches, and then you do 2 purl stitches in the white. Now, there is a video that I've made. Initially when we started, all of the how-tos were embedded within other programs, other episodes of the Knitting Man, but what I've done is I've taken those out, so you can just go straight to the bit you need. So if you want to learn how to do the 2-stitch corrugated rib, it's in the Knitting Man Shorts on YouTube. There's 3 episodes of the Knitting Man Shorts on YouTube, and the one that deals with corrugated rib is episode 2. So you're looking for Knitting Man Shorts episode 2, which will teach you how to do the corrugated rib. So when you come round to the other end, you end on 2 blue stitches, and what you're doing is creating a tube, because it's steeped. And so before you cut the tube, you'll end up with 4 stitches in the middle there, which later on you'll cut the steek there. So the next thing is the stranded colour work. Now that's the back of my knitting. A lot of you will know this already, that I use a no floats method. So there are floats, but they're 1 stitch long, which means that the baby's fingers aren't going to get stuck behind the yarn. The episode to watch to learn how to do that, again, it's the Knitting Man Shorts, and it's episode 1, how to knit stranded colour work. And in that I show you how to do that no floats method. so then you work from the chart. So you're working in the round, and you're knitting your rib, and then you're working from the chart, and you come round and you knit your rib, and then when you get to that end, you knit your rib, and then you cast off, and you end up with a tube, and then you've got to cut the steek. And the episode that you need to watch for that, how to cut the steek, is called The Knitting Man Shorts number 3, Fearless Steeking. And in that episode, I teach you how to crochet either side of the steek to create that edge. And I also teach you how to cut the stitch and then how to sew the edge back. So that's the Knitting Man Shorts number 3. So really, those 3 videos and the instructions that you get with the chart, or you get with a PDF download, are all you should need to create this blanket. So before we go, if you've liked this video, please press the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. It's free. And the other thing is the bell as well, so that you get notifications. The other thing is, if you want to support the channel, you can go to our Linktree and our Patreon, and that will eventually make us give us more time so that we can make more designs and we can make more videos than we're currently making. So that's it for this episode. I would like to say thank you to Mrs. Smith for helping me out. She's smiling at me now. And the last episode that I made, I forgot to say it's good night from her. I just said it's good night from me. And I got told off a few times by people. They said, oh, you've forgotten about Mrs. Smith. Well, this time I won't. So it's good night from me and it's good night from her. Good night.